Avoir.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I am the host of the show. Today, I am joined by my spouse, Laurie.
Hello. Why are you laughing already? As soon as you turned on your board.
You say hello in a British accent for some reason.
Britney Spears does that too.
Oh boy, well she's
I'm
straight
on a road.
Crazy.
That's what I'm saying. This is the beginning of the end for me.
Oh God. All right. Are you going to be dancing in a bikini with a knife on your Instagram story anytime soon?
I probably won't go that far.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't see you going there.
Nope.
Even in the depths of despair.
Even with the bikini, she pulls it down even further and you're like, nope. Every video's like a gynecology appointment.
Oh my God. Poor Brittany. Anywho, if you're new to the show, thank you so much for your listening ear. Very much appreciate that you have chosen to spend the next few minutes with us. If you are new, Laurie and I are dog trainers and handlers. I primarily am a dog walker. We work in the greater Boston area, and this podcast has historically interviewed local Boston area dog handling professionals. I have gotten together with a number of people, and we discuss our lives, dogs, and careers. So there is a little anthology of those interviews in the years past. But as of about the end of 2022, I've taken a step back from that mission and goal, and Laurie and I will sit down and do deep dives on specific training and handling topics, and that's what we're going to do today. So first, I wanted to talk about some additions to the affordable dog food item episode that I did last time. So the previous episode to this one, I talked about some alternatives to air-dried and freeze-dried dog foods because they've gotten pretty expensive. And I've had some productive conversations with people about some additional things that you can do or items that you can procure that will make the dog food that you use for training a little bit less expensive. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is if you live in Massachusetts, there's a company called Pet Supplies Plus. It's a kind of big box dog food store, and they offer... Is your headphone too loud, Laurie?
They are.
Poor Laurie. She's over there like cupping her ears. Hang on. I help you. Is that better?
Yes.
That's better?
Yeah, Mamma Mia.
Okay, sorry. Okay, back on track.
Sorry.
Okay, so Pet Supplies Plus is a big box dog food or pet supply store, I should say. And if you sign up for their mail-in program, you will get sweet coupons in the mail. What would you say they come like every month, Laurie?
Every month you get like 2.
Yeah, like
2 coupons per month.
15 to 20% off, sometimes 25% off, which is pretty cool. And when we were feeding our dogs Victor dog food, it was super useful because I would just go in with a coupon and literally save like $100 between buying food items and toys and dog food and stuff like that. So make sure you've signed up for that. Amazon Prime Day also offers a lot of discounts on dog foods. I know that they had a discount on Ziwi Peaks this past go around. I think last week they had a Prime Day. And I mentioned Ziwi Peaks in the last episode, and I just wanted to clarify. I was not dissing the quality of Ziwi Peaks. That is a wonderful item to use for training. I was just saying that it's expensive, and if you wanted to find alternatives to that because of cost, I wanted to give some alternatives, but Ziwi Peaks are one of my favorite items to use for training. Would you agree, Laurie?
Yeah, did somebody say that you were trashing them or something?
No, I just had a lot of people say, I should say a lot of people, 2 people. I love it when influencers or people online are like, I've been getting a lot of questions lately. Just to clarify, if I say a lot, that might mean 2, but I had conversations, a couple conversations about how to save money on Ziwi Peaks because people basically saying, I absolutely love using this food. And these are some ways that I have found it to be more affordable. And one of them was Amazon Prime Day. They offered a deep discount. The other was somebody found Ziwi Peaks in a pet store that was like heavily discounted, and they just bought a bunch of it. So if you do decide to go that route where you're buying in bulk, just make sure that the expiration dates aren't fast approaching so that you can actually use the food before they expire. The other recommendation I wanted to give, and these aren't endorsements of any products, it's just like what we use. Bill Jack has a formula called the Vet Treats, and vet, not veterinarians, but veterans. And they offer like a little 10-ounce package of dog treats. And I think they're like $3.80 on Chewy. So that's a pretty affordable option as well. And the other thing that you can do is cook your own treats. So if you wanted to like boil chicken or dehydrate some sort of protein or, you know, grill a piece of steak or something like that, you can certainly use that for training and probably will be a little bit more affordable than, you know, buying dehydrated beef.
That's sad.
Air dried products. Yeah. Sad but true. And just be careful. Make sure that you throw everything away if you don't use it right away, or at least refrigerate it for the next use.
Don't forget it in your car on a hot day.
No.
Ask me how I know.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
I picked a very nasty bag of food out of my training bag the other day. I was ashamed.
Oh, so gross.
It is so
gross. I was pissed because I was doing laundry the other day and I'm like, what is this foreign substance? And it was dog treats, and it was spongy and it was gross, and I still to this day cannot identify the treat that died in there. Of course, you know, do I say empty the pockets? I say empty the pockets. Do I empty the pockets? Yes. Of course, there's 8 pockets to every jacket we own, every hoodie we own.
It's a thing.
I digress.
Yes. And one thing that I forget to do is wash my training vest and training apron. Every once in a while, throw your shit in the laundry. It really goes a long way.
I know. The other day, I picked up your jacket and I said, did you like fry chicken in this? Like, we don't eat fry food. She's like, oh yeah, I should probably wash that.
She was like, you smell like fried chicken. I'm like, thanks.
At least it wasn't, it could have been worse. It could have been a worse description.
Yes.
Yeah. Between, you know, laundry and the new recycling program here.
I know. We have a new recycling program in the town we live, Woburn.
It's really throwing Rose for a loop.
I know. My poor mother-in-law, every time she walks towards
me.
Is
this recyclable?
Yeah, she walks towards me and is like, is this recyclable? I'm like, no. The old dish rack from your dishwasher that broke is not recyclable.
I mean, and it's 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide
with like plastic wheels on
much
it.
Like the composition of my family. It's taller than her, and so I'm digging through. This is my spare time between dogs. I'm going through the recycling bin and taking out about 30 dirty tissues, which I mean just kill me. And yeah, so that's what's been going on. Not fascinating, but if you're having a problem with recycling, I am kind of a pro now.
Yeah, don't ask an older person.
No.
They don't know.
I don't understand how we're going to be able to do this. I don't know. And then the hearing aids, you can't hear me. I'm like, no, this isn't recyclable. And she's like, hold on. Because like her eyes are okay now. We went through the cataract surgery. That was a real dream. And then we had, and I love my mother, by the way. It might not sound like it, but, and then the hearing aids came along and it was like, she just, this is an epiphany for her. She's like, this is amazing. I can hear. But now hearing aids are linked to the cell phone so she can put the volume up or down. And I thought it would be less frustrating that she has hearing aids, but it's not less frustrating because she doesn't turn them on, or she'll say, stop. I have to put the volume up when your father talks. I mean, this is living in an Italian house. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
she's always got the audio book or the political commentary going in the earbuds.
Oh my God, the politics.
Yeah, it's been.
We don't talk about those. Yeah,
it's been a season. Woo. But
anyway,
yes,
sorry about that.
the hearing aids are brutal. My mom has got hearing aids as well, but she does not have them hooked up to her phone. So it's actually quite a nice experience talking to her because she can hear very well and there's not anything else going on in the hearing aids that you wouldn't know about. The effed up thing is with Rosa, I'll be sitting like in my office and she'll be like doing dishes or whatever, and I can hear what she's listening to in those hearing aids, and I can't even imagine how loud it is for her.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I used to, do chores or even washing the dogs. I used to have headphones in listening, but I can't. I feel like I'm losing my hearing by the second. Mm-hmm. I wear it for when I, do yard work or whatever so I don't damage my ears, but it's too late. Sometimes you're talking to me and I'm really just trying to distinguish like every second or third word to try to make a sentence. And then sometimes I'll answer and you'll respond in a way that made me understand that I heard what you said. And I'm like, oh,
bad for relationships.
Good job,
I
Laurie.
think is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. So you should get your hearing checked because that would probably make everybody feel better.
And don't blow your ears out with your earbuds.
And wear protective ear. It's too late for me.
No, it's not.
I think it's too late.
No.
Luca the Great Dane, he was, so normally dog barking is like a nightmare for me. It's like kills me. But when he's in the crate, he screams like Cam on Modern Family. Have I told you this?
Yeah.
So when he screams, it makes me laugh. And it reminds me of when Cam, if you haven't seen the episode, this is not about dog training, sorry. It's when he locks Lily in the car by accident. It's a woman in distress. Anyway, so that's the only dog I like crying.
Yep.
And that's that.
Yes, Laurie does not like barking.
Well, I got things. I got reprimanded heavily when I was learning about dogs. I was reprimanded anytime there was dogs barking. So,
yep,
it's PTSD.
I can see that. Okay.
We were talking about cheap dog food.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything to that topic before we move on?
It's probably not cheap, but Lily had ordered Farm to Pet, and it was a box of Halloween treats of just one ingredient treats. And I pass them out to my customers in group class or some of my day dogs, or they love these treats. Anyway, that's all. Farm to Pet. Why aren't we getting paid for this advertising?
I don't know. We're just giving suggestions.
We gotta get on this. I'm gonna just put Buddha up there, take a picture of him
with the farm to treat
farm to pet trick or treat, and some of it was sweet potato, dehydrated chicken patty, or turkey.
Yeah,
don't ask me the prices because we got so many snacks. I didn't want to go on the website and buy something I shouldn't have.
For sure.
We got so much stuff, but like I get all distracted. Like we were on Max 200 and I got an article bag for you.
Thank you.
And I was like, don't buy anything else. Don't look at any tugs. You have enough toys. You have enough.
Forget it.
But there was a Sherpa tug.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Double handle. And then there was another one. I was like, oh, this is definitely going to make Buddha do everything I want him to do. This Sherpa handled tug. Anyway, so I bought them. I shouldn't have bought them. I don't know why I do it.
I know it's hard.
I really stopped myself from going to like dog websites. Mm-hmm. And I don't like when they send me an email and they're like 10% off. Bite me. That's not a good sale. And it's surely not something you should be sending me through email. I want something to talk about. Yep. I want 25% off.
25%
30
or bust. Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me you have a new $2,000 piece of exercise equipment. Mm-hmm. Screw you. I will say though, the stuff that I have put money into, really good equipment, it lasts forever.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Anyway.
Really good stuff. Yeah, you gotta have some stuff if you're training dogs. That's just the way that it goes. You don't have to have too much stuff, but you gotta have things.
We have a lot of stuff though, and it's starting to get to me. I'm starting to feel like a hoarder.
Yeah, I've been working on getting rid of things that aren't being used. And also public service announcement. Oh. I put it on my Instagram story earlier this week. But if you have things that you use for your dog, especially if it's on a regular basis, and those things are broken, i.e. a collar or a leash or a long line or a flexi or whatever, just throw it away. Throw it away and get a new one.
This is pet peeve
number
Leah.
1 for me. If I had to throw away some stuff this week and it had sentimental value, but if I had kept using it, it was training equipment. It wasn't like handling equipment, but it had sentimental value and it sucked to throw it in the trash. But at the end of the day, safety first. And it drives me crazy to no end if an owner has a frayed leash or a collar that's not working properly. And I rarely use owner's equipment when I'm walking dogs. I have my own e-collar systems that I use. I have my own leashes. I have a set of collars in my car that are flat buckle collars for any size dog that I can throw on them if they have a quick release collar. And that serves me very well. But sometimes as an owner, you can get used to using the same stuff all the time and you kind of get blind to the fact that it's not functioning anymore. So if you have something that's dysfunctional, throw it in the garbage. This stuff is easy enough to replace and it's not super duper expensive. And if you need equipment suggestions, fitpetboston.com/store is our Amazon store, and you can see what our suggestions are via Amazon. Obviously, not everything that we recommend is available on Amazon, but at least it's a good place to start.
I love how it drives you crazy. Because you're usually laid back, so it really makes me feel like we're in sync when you're losing your mind about something.
I know. I'm very laid back. I really honestly am. Come to me with a collar that's going to slip over your dog's head, and I just want to kill you.
Yeah,
I really do. It drives me bananas.
And then they don't notice, and you're like, ah! Inside you're dying the entire time.
Yeah.
There is one customer, and it thrills me. And the collar is broken, and it has been broken
years.
Forever.
It's been broken
for years. Yeah, since he was a zygote. And it's, you know how they clip together, and there's 3 little prongs that
the
clip
plastic
in?
clips.
One of them's broken. It's been broken forever. And Leah looks at that collar every time. I can't believe it's still broken.
I know. And the owner's previous dog got loose and got hit by a car.
Okay.
So there's no... and what do you do?
Well, it wasn't because of the collar.
No, but I mean, I don't get it.
That was very sad.
I know.
I was very upset by that.
Obviously. Okay. Second topic for the day is the question that I get every single time I tell people that Raven is going through a heat cycle. And that question is...
Millions of heat cycles.
Millions. Poor Laurie.
Sure does feel that way, Bob.
But the question that people ask
She's
me...
in season.
And I can honestly say this is not a bogus BS influencer answer. But many, many people have asked me, are you going to breed her? Because I think it's a little uncommon to see a female dog going through heat cycles, because all too often people will spay either before their first heat cycle or right after the dog's first heat cycle, because let's be really honest, nobody wants to deal with a dog going through a heat cycle. Laurie is shaking her head.
No.
So usually owners with female dogs get that out of the way lickety split as fast as possible. But me...
I just...
I have really been dragging my feet on spaying Raven.
Tell us why, Leah.
Ah, man.
We can hash this out right here on the podcast.
I think it just sucks. Like, I think it sucks to alter a dog. I really do. You're taking away all of their hormones. And I really like everything about Raven. I like the way that she behaves. I like the way that she looks. I like her energy level. I like the fact that she has yet to get injured. And I know that by spaying her, she's not going to get physically or behaviorally better. It's just going to be an altercation. And so for me, it's a difficult decision, because I'm like, okay, there are serious risks to leaving her intact. And I have to weigh those risks, against what I think are, the pros of keeping her intact. And ultimately, I know that I need to spay her and that we're not going to breed her. Okay, so that answers the question, are you going to breed her? The answer is a strong no to that question. I guess we could talk about that too. But I have her spay on the books. It's happening. She's only gone through 3 heat cycles, but there are some risks that get bigger as the dog gets older without being bred. So the main one is pyometra. I'm saying that properly, correct?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe you want to explain what pyometra is.
I mean...
It basically is when your dog's uterus gets bacteria in it, and then bacteria there's an infection inside the uterus. And sometimes it's really hard to identify, because there won't seem to be anything wrong with the dog until it's kind of like too late and their uterus is like filled with like nasty pus. And then you have to go in and, have an emergency spay. And if that ruptures and gets into your dog's bloodstream, you are screwed. It can like kill your dog. And the longer the dog goes without being spayed, the higher the risk of pyometra. If you breed a dog the risk of pyometra as they age goes down. So that in and of itself is enough of a risk for me to be like, okay, we need to make a decision about this because I don't have any control over whether or not she gets pyometra. Like I wouldn't take her swimming right after she goes through a heat cycle because the water, the bacteria kind of gets in there, but it can happen without taking the dog swimming. So that's a risk. And then there's a risk of mammary cancer as well. And then there's obviously also a risk of the dog getting pregnant. So that's a risk as well. Or going through something called a false heat where their body thinks that they are pregnant and then behaves in that way. So there are definitely cons to leaving a female dog intact, especially if you're not planning to breed them. So the answer to that question, are you going to breed Raven, is no. And I think the first reason why we wouldn't consider breeding Raven is because we're not dog breeders. I don't know if you want to talk about breeding a little bit, Laurie, but it's a huge undertaking.
I helped breeders breed litters of dogs, and it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work. And I also mentally can't handle if the dogs weren't good dogs that I produced, even if I was very careful with, getting all of their genetic testing done to make sure that they were healthy, happy dogs. And I think that you would be beside yourself with caring for a litter. Even I think you watching Raven even deliver the puppies would just send you over the edge.
Trauma.
Yeah, because I remember there were many litters, but my own dog I bred, and it was, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Watching the puppies, taking care of them, doing their little temperament tests. I kind of like blacked out as she was delivering, but then after it's just this bloodbath of stuff that I was cleaning up, and it's just a lot of cleaning and tending to. It's basically their nurse for the first 2 days, and then you just make sure the mom is okay. It's just a lot.
Yeah, and knowing when something goes wrong, having the experience to know like exactly what to do and like the exact moment when to do it. Oh God. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's different if you have a male dog and you're just, sending his sperm out everywhere.
Right.
But it's really hard to have the female.
Right. And also, when you look at a breeding program has a catalog of different dogs that they can breed together to produce a litter that is in demand. And I don't have that type of network or resources or
who are you giving the dogs
male
to?
dog. Yeah, or I don't have 8 people that want a dog that's like Raven. She's bananas, and that's kind of like a secondary point is Raven's an awesome dog for me. By the way, she's a Labrador Retriever, like working line black Labrador Retriever, but she's great for me because I love training her and working towards these goals. And she's friendly as all get out. She's a wonderful dog, but she doesn't have what you would call an off switch, which is something that breeders pride themselves on. And that's when you have some sort of a working line dog and they're like really crazy in the field. They love to work, but then when they get home, they turn off. Like they'll hang out with you on the couch. They'll lay down on a bed. Neither of these things I've ever seen Raven do on her own when she's left to her own devices inside the house. So she just loves to be busy and walk around, hold things in her mouth. She wants to know where you are. If you're just standing there, she'll start circling around you with a toy like, hey, what are you doing? Are you going to play with me? Like she doesn't really relax.
If I wake up, she doesn't do anything in her crate. But if Leah moves her foot to the right underneath the sheet, she knows that Leah has woken up. Woken up. I don't know.
Arose.
And
stirred.
She'll know. Like she'll know if I'm getting coffee. And then I'm so careful with the bowls. There has to be a specific time for her to actually just never stop whining in her crate. Because she's like, hurry it up. And I know that most mornings Leah is getting up because Raven is calling her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She's a busy dog. And I think
she's like chop, chop.
Yeah, for like a Labrador person, if you think about somebody that's looking for a Labrador, you know, they want a house dog. They want a dog they can take places. It's just going to be chill, doing whatever, whenever, in any environment. And Raven's just not that dog. So from answering the question, are you going to breed her? I don't know anybody that wants a dog like her. And if I did, I can point them in like 10 different directions of breeders that can provide a dog that has her kind of style of temperament. So I don't feel any strong need to, you know, reproduce her exactly. And I think that that's like a question that I feel like I should answer, especially for somebody who's a pet owner and they don't understand like what goes into the discussion about like why you should breed two dogs together. And I think having some sort of a demand for the type of dog is really important, because if you don't, like, you're basically just breeding for the sake of making money or, I don't know, experience. But yeah.
You don't make money when you breed dogs.
Yeah. If you're doing it the right way, you probably won't make much money.
No, you have to have a lot of litters a year. So mostly it's very costly.
Yeah, and the health clearances you have to get on the dogs
vitamins,
before you even start the breeding process is like wicked expensive.
Food, formula,
vet care.
The vet care, and then my dog had mastitis, so I rushed over to the vet, and I had all the puppies in their little incubator while we were trying to. Rippa had a terrible fever. I knew something was going on the night before. I mean, I gotta tell you, like, when I saw Rippa not feeling well, I didn't care about any of those puppies. I cared about my dog, and my dog was sick, and she was like my primary thing, my primary concern.
Right.
She was so sick. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And then she got a lot of IV fluids. We put all the puppies on her to nurse, because even though they have mastitis, they can still nurse off the mother. So she was lying on the floor and she had IV fluids. Oh, it was just terrible. I just wanted to bring her home and hug her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
She's such a good nugget.
She was a really cool dog. If you listen to the podcast introduction, I used her bark at the beginning of when I first started to produce the show. Before I even did one episode, we did a little recording session with Rippa and I. It was
She's a great
precious.
dog.
She was a good dog for sure. But yeah, breeding is a huge undertaking. And I also think that sometimes like pet owners or the general public, like they just don't know a lot about it. And I do feel a little bit of an onus to try to educate people, in not like a preachy sort of way when I'm talking to people. But I had a really interesting conversation with a woman who called for training, and she had an English Cocker Spaniel, and she said, "Oh, we just got him from a backyard breeder." And I said, "Oh, okay." And after asking her a couple of questions, I said, "Okay, can you just tell me a little bit more about this backyard breeder?" And she said, "Well, you know, he is in a southern state and he hunts dogs, and he just had two dogs that he really liked." And I said, "Oh, okay. You know, did you get AKC papers?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, we have all the AKC papers." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, she's like, "But he doesn't have very many litters. Like, he just had these two dogs that he really liked and he bred them together." And I said, "Okay, well, that's not a backyard breeder." Like, that's somebody that sounds like a pretty ethical breeder. You know, he had two dogs that he really liked, probably got some health testing done on them to get the paperwork, you know, filed the paperwork with the AKC when the litter came along, gave you access to that information, sent you the paperwork in a timely manner, and cares about his dogs. And that's like actually the opposite of a backyard breeder. And the woman was just like, "Oh, maybe I just don't understand what a backyard breeder is." And so I said, "Yeah, maybe." And it just made me realize how people who aren't part of, like, I guess the dog culture, like, they just might not know about stuff like that.
I mean, sometimes you can have AKC papers and people haven't done any health testing.
Oh, yes.
And that's the minimum. You know, people will be like, "It's an AKC certified dog," but that doesn't necessarily mean that they've done all the health testing. But normally breeders brag about it to the ends of the earth, which they should, and they post it. So once you see that, you know that it's a breeder that went to a lot of trouble. So
Right.
You can look that up, because just because you have AKC certification doesn't mean that they did that.
The OFA certification. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had one customer, an old customer, they lost their dog and they're looking for a new one, and specifically Bernese Mountain Dog. And they said, hey, we're looking at this older female that a breeder is getting rid of. They're rehoming. You know, once you have a bunch of litters, some breeders will rehome their older females. And they sent several videos of it. It sounded okay when they were telling me about this breeder. And they sent a bunch of videos. And this older female looked crippled. She looked like she had bad hips, bad knees. I mean, why would you even send anyone a video of your dog limping? And I said to them, I go, guys, I wouldn't get this dog. I said, they've had such a terrible time with their burners. They have died young. They have been sick. And he has been there 24/7 for his dogs, pouring money into their medical care. These are like traumatic things for an owner to go through. And it was back to back to back, 3 burners.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. He wants another Bernese Mountain Dog. And just, you know, like, I'm a Rottweiler person. He's a burner guy. And I said, I don't know if you guys can go through this again, because this dog clearly needs medical attention.
Right.
Well, they told the breeder what I said.
Oh. Ugh.
And that breeder said, well, who is this person? You know, like, what does she know? I've done OFA testing on my dogs. And then she sends picture after picture of her OFA certifications. They were preliminary OFA papers. That means that they did all of the testing on hips and heart and elbows before 6 months, at 6 months of age. And it's not official. You're supposed to redo the testing after 2 years of age.
Yep.
Because that is when you can ethically breed a female. And I said to them, I said, I don't even know. I was like, these are preliminary OFAs, and I don't care what any of these papers say. I'm looking at that female, and she is broken.
Right.
And I sent it to all the people, all the trainers. I said, look at these videos, guys, just to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind. Just like the gall of sending this video with this dog so clearly limping.
Right.
Anyway, in the end, they didn't get the dog, and that breeder can go take a hike.
Yep.
Like, don't be an asshole. You saw the dog limping in the video, and they told you of their history with burners, and you were going to send them this broken female.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
It really bothered me.
Yeah, and I think it should, and I think that that's a great story to tell, especially since so many of the people that listen to the podcast are just regular old pet owners that are entertained by us talking, because you get attached, you know? You see a picture or even a video, and you're like, oh my God, the dog's beautiful. And there's this huge hole in my heart where I need a dog to fill that hole because I lost my dog or whatever. But then to have the onus to, like you said, send preliminary x-rays or paperwork or confirmation, just banking on the fact that the prospective owner doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like, that person is negligent. They don't know anything about OFA testing. They don't know, oh, the dog really should be 2 years old before they're bred, or after they turn 2 is when we should be getting all of this testing done because they're fully developed. Like, that woman's banking off the fact that your friend doesn't know that.
Yeah. And you should really ask your trainer before you get a dog. And, you know, one of my other customers sent me a website, and I said, this is a puppy mill. I said, but if I know that you're going to, I mean, I had this conversation a million times. I know it's a puppy mill, but I know that you're going to do what you want to do. I can give you these names, but the names I give you, they have few litters a year, so you have to wait. Now, I got to tell you, all my customers that have waited, they have really nice dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who haven't, it's really just a hit or miss.
Right.
And it's a bummer because there's always, like, you know, if it happens to be a lab, puppy mill breeder, the dogs are just like, there's such a nervous energy about them.
Mm.
They're not biters. They're not anything, but it's very nervous energy.
Mm-hmm.
And by this time as a trainer, we know you. We practically live with you. I know everything about you. I've raised a dog with you. It's some of these people like they're repeat dogs, and I know what kind of person you are. I know if you're going to get your ass off the sofa and bring this dog for a walk. You got to start like picking a dog for your lifestyle.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you don't want this weightlifting couple that got a dog, they're my favorite. And I was like, you don't want a dog that's going to, run around, that you can run around the lake with and run around the pond. And he goes, no, I work out all day. I come home. He goes, I want to hug my dog on a sofa. And he got a Newfie.
Good.
And of course he brought the dog for walks, but that dog was a cuddle bug. And I was like, good for him for knowing. No, I don't want to run around. I work out all day. That's like when we go on vacation. We're not looking to hike a mountain, people. we walk all day. Like, I'm not missing out on nature, and I'm not going to die on a mountain. Have you heard the news lately? These people are just croaking. This one swimming, he gets, taken down by a shark. This girl surfing, she gets taken down by a shark, and then they lose a limb, and then they go back out. They're like, I don't think it's going to happen twice. Well, if you had my luck, I bet it would. I bet you lose 2 limbs. What were we talking about? Oh, hiking, exercising, dogs. Yeah. I'm not climbing mountains.
I think one of the problems with breeders are, just like trainers, the better they are, the more elusive they become. And it's difficult from a consumer point of view, because if you want a Labrador, you're going to punch into Google Labrador Retriever breeder near me. And, the trouble is like really good breeders have lists. So they don't need to put money into SEO and Google search optimization and having a fancy website and doing all and trainers are the exact same way. The more busy a trainer becomes, if they're a small operation, maybe they work for themselves or they have 1 or 2 other people, they're not really active on social media and putting all this money into web page development and offer online classes and all this crap. I mean, the better somebody gets, unless they're very business minded focused and they want to grow like a huge business. And it's very difficult to do that ethically in the dog world. I think we've seen it is possible. Like, people certainly do it. And I think that they do it well, but it's few and far between. But, to find a really good breeder, sometimes it takes a little bit of like old school, pick up your freaking phone, dial the number of somebody that you might not have talked to in a while.
God forbid you have to call someone.
And have a conversation, Like I called Raven's breeder 3 years before I got Raven. Just to talk to him. Just to be like, hey man, what are you doing over there? What's going on? And he is so elusive. He doesn't have a website. He doesn't have social media. He doesn't have anything. He only sells his puppies to people that he knows. And he goes, the only reason why I'm selling you this dog is because we had that conversation on the phone and I could tell that you were for real. He said that to me right in front of my dad when I went out to pick up Raven.
It's really nice.
And it's like, that's how it's done. And it's hard because that's not how the rest of the world operates. We operate on what comes up first when we put in a Google search. And unfortunately, for people who aren't part of like the dog world, which is like very small, it's hard to break into that. But if you're listening to this podcast, you have access to us. Shoot us a message on Instagram, DM us. We can point you in a direction. I don't know every single good breeder from every single breed, but I can tell you, if you send me their information, I can tell you my thoughts right off of the bat. Like Laurie was saying, one of our customers got a dog, send the website. Laurie says, that's a puppy mill. They're breeding fucking Frenchies and Labrador Retrievers. Like, what's going on here? Yeah. And it's easy for us to like take a look at it and say, okay, maybe this isn't the best choice, or maybe do a little bit more digging here to make sure that you're getting, a good dog, because a dog's going to hopefully be with you for 10, 12 years. And you want to make sure that that dog is healthy. And
some people actually go to dog shows as well. And they have a favorite breed. I see families there all the time. And it's not because they have a dog in the ring. A lot of them go just to check it out, see what the dogs are like. I remember one time with Karen, we were showing a bunch of her dogs. I used to travel with her all the time. And there were families walking around, hey, can I pet your dog? Some people are a little snobby. They won't let you pet their dog before they go in the ring or anything like that.
Oh, for sure.
But that's a really good way to get to know the temperament of the dog. The breeder's going to bring the best of the best there. So why won't you let me pet your male Rottweiler or your, female Rottweiler? Are they not friendly? Because then you can still breed and your dog might not be the friendliest dog. Are you ready for an aloof dog? One that is not ready to walk up to every single person? Is your kid there at the show? Did the mother or did the person try to steer their dog away from you? That dog doesn't like kids. He's used to being in the ring, but is he used to children? Like, you can see the temperament of the dog. Maybe you don't want the friendliest dog. That's fine with me. Maybe you don't want a Rottweiler that'll say hello to every single person. And after a while, the temperament of the breed really starts to show, especially when they get older. They do get a little choosier. And I feel that way about Buddha. I feel like he's gotten a little bit choosier. And it led me to stop therapy visits with him. He's friendly, but not... I didn't see the like with us and his people. Oh my God, for sure. But with everybody, no, not all the time now. Right. So that's why we stopped therapy visits. But keep these things in mind when you can't just read the description on the AKC site of the dog.
The dog breed.
Great family dog. I haven't seen one description where they're like, this is a shitty family dog. You definitely don't want this son of a bitch walking around your house when you have a toddler. Yep. This one will think your child's a wind-up toy. Go get him, Skipper. Go get him.
Yeah. They omit descriptions instead of saying negative things.
This one's a real asshole. Don't get this dog. It's true.
For sure.
You're going to be brushing this dog's coat for days. Do you want this dog? Yeah. Do you want your house to look like a disaster? Get this breed. Get this one. Do you want your hand to hurt from brushing them? Do you want their eyes to pop out of their head? Get this dog. If there's an injury, it's going to be to the cornea. He might lose an eye, but you can just tell people you rescued him. It's going to be great. If you want a dog's ear to get bit, definitely get this dog's ear. You want some entropium? Let me send you to the breed. There you go. Anyway.
It's true.
I'm done.
Hey, AKC's got to make themselves look good in those descriptions. We sometimes read them to each other at night in British accents to make each other laugh.
That's all right. Pastime.
Yeah, pastime. But no, all really valid points. And I think one of the things that is important to keep in mind is you may have to wait. I think waiting is one of the things that we like to do the least in modern day society. But sometimes if you find a program that you're interested in, when I say program, I mean breeding program, that you're interested in, you might have to wait for a puppy. And people don't want to wait. And it's a lot easier to get a puppy from a breeder that's breeding like a ton of dogs. But a ton of dogs is usually a red flag for there are other motives behind furthering the integrity of the breed. And that's something that should be of utmost importance when breeding, is making sure that your dogs are healthy physically and also have an appropriate temperament. So that's what an ethical breeder is going to breed for. And knowing what to look for is really important. And unfortunately, people that just are regular pet owners, it's like this, like trying to navigate this world that you just don't really know a heck of a lot about. And even if you are in the know, you can still get a litter of dogs that's like not that great, it's possible.
It's one thing that gets me nuts is like if somebody gets a dog and the dog I had one woman, she got a dog, had crazy dental issues between the teeth just breaking down, too many teeth, missing teeth. It was a disaster. And the dog was a little nervous, a little fearful. Never really settled down in his crate. Wouldn't you know, she got another dog from the same breeder and he was a wackadoodle. And I like a wackadoodle. Why? Why would you go back? Find, if your neighbor got a dog and you really like the temperament, investigate. Even if it's a doodle, investigate the breeder. See how many litters they have a year. See if anyone else has their dog. Read reviews. Try to find bad reviews. Sometimes I'll look up the breeder and I'll be like, trying to find any complaints about blah, blah, blah. And I'll look. Sometimes you find stuff.
Right.
Find it on Facebook. If there's the one thing that people love to do is complain. And if something happened to a dog or if something happened with them about a dog, same thing with trainers. It's there. Sometimes you have to dig deep, but you'll find it. You know those people are going to start reaming out this breeder over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yep, do a little digging. It's not easy, but it is possible. And best of luck. Mm-hmm. But so roundabout answers to that question that people often ask me when they find out that my dog is not yet spayed. Are you going to breed her? No, for all the above reasons. And yeah, not something that I'm super interested in at the moment. And I'm also very lucky to know of some really nice Labrador Retriever breeders. I think there are some people out there that are doing wonderful work and breeding ethically. And, you know, I see some really, really cool dogs and it's nice to see. Obviously, we see the opposite too, but having a couple of breeders in my back pocket to just recommend to people when they ask me is really helpful. And that's not to say anything negative or bad about my own dog, but just because you have a really good dog doesn't necessarily mean that that dog should be bred for any number of reasons. But anyhow, I think that pretty much bookends what we were talking about today nicely, Laurie. Don't you think so?
Yeah, so rappy pappy.
Okay, rappy pappy. Thank you so much for listening. If you're into what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends. And you will hear from us next time.
Goodbye.